can't even explain it. It's just so good. I am on a high. I made a mistake, guys. Why did I think this was a good idea?
Yes, you read the title of this video correctly. Let me explain. Since I started this channel, people have asked me a lot, how do you read so much? And I have a whole video coming up where I'm going to talk a bit about the techniques that I use to read a lot and some little tips for you. But apart from that, I want to put this all in perspective. I did an English degree. I did 2 English degrees. And as I think happens to a lot of English grads, they kind of burned me out from reading for a long time. Because I had to read for essay deadlines and I had to read a lot of stuff I wasn't that interested in, as well as stuff that I really loved. For a time, reading was kind of ruined for me. I couldn't find the fun in it again until, well, really this year. Last year, I only read 7 books. So I thought, let's do a little experiment. Now, I'm not the first person to do this. A lot of people on YouTube have done similar videos to this. If you want to go check them out, some of the ones that inspired me, I will link them below. But I thought to myself, I read 7 books last year. What if I could read my entire last year of reading in a week? Can I do it? And if I can, could you? For a bit of context, I'm working under specific circumstances where I only work part-time. Also, we're in lockdown right now, so there's not a lot of other stuff to do. So I also don't want to claim that everyone will be able to set out and try and do this challenge, or that everyone even should. But I'm hoping that for those of you who want to read more, this might be a bit of an inspiration. If it goes well. We'll see. Before we get into the vlog part of the video, please consider liking, subscribing, leaving a comment. All of that helps me not only to get seen more widely, but also to know which videos you enjoy, so thank you. Now let's get into the vlogs. I think I'm gonna reach for this beauty. I'm excited.
1 hour later.
So, a terrible thing has happened. I dropped a whole glass of water on my brand new book.
I spilled lipstick in your Valentino bag.
Oh, you spilled lipstick in my Valentino white.
I'm so sad. So the internet said to put a piece of absorbent paper in between every page. Luckily this is a short book, so hopefully it won't ruin my book too much. So this is day 1 of my reading 7 books in 7 days, or trying to. I decided to start with a book that I maybe have cheated because I have started a little bit of it already. Upright Women Wanted by Sarah Gailey. So I finally got it dried out. So far it's really fun. It's really queer, which I love. So yeah, I'm excited to keep reading this. This is going to be my book for today. Then tomorrow, I think I'm going to try and tackle one of the longer books on my list because I don't want to put those off until the end and end up not finishing them. If you're interested in what I'm reading this week, I will link up above my choosing my TBR, which I did in a really unusual way by using Animal Crossing. If you haven't seen that video, I had so much fun, so please go and check that out. The weird thing is, I'm about 75 pages into Upright Women Wanted, and the thing that's really fascinating me about it is actually more the world that it's set in and the potential of that world, and like all the different possibilities of stories that could be told with these characters in this world. That's more interesting to me than actually what's happening in the story. I feel like the story itself is intriguing me, but it's also moving quite fast. I feel like the relationships are developing very quickly, particularly the romantic relationship is very sudden, especially considering the main character's previous girlfriend died recently. It feels a little bit odd how quickly she seems to be moving on. But on the other hand, we're not seeing much of what these librarians actually do for a living, what they're currently escaping from or running away from. We're seeing more, or just more their personal relationships really. But I'm intrigued by the world and I want more world building and I want to find out more about where they're based and more about all of these characters. So that is keeping me really engaged. I think this could make like a really, really good TV series. Think like a queer Firefly, but they're not in a spaceship, they're just traveling around one world that is kind of a desert future aesthetic. That sounds so cool to me. I could see it being very Handmaid's Tale-esque, in the same way that the Handmaid's Tale series really stretched out the material of the book without making the story feel too slow, because they filled it in with the flashbacks of what happened before the change in regime, and finding out more about the background of these characters before, I feel like you could mine a lot from Esther's past and her relationship with Beatrice, and you could do a lot of flashbacks to her and her father's relationship and stuff like that would flesh out her character and the story, and maybe even tell the story of how the society became like this. Could be so interesting. So I just finished Upright Women Wanted. I loved it. It's a sketch of a world. It's a short tale set in a world that gives you a short, sharp, quick journey. And it feels like it could have been fleshed out more, that this could have been 100, 200 pages more. It's rare that I say about a book that I wanted it to be longer, but this is one of them. The characters had so much potential. I feel like we only got a glimpse into their lives and into their characters, and I wish there was more. But I kind of didn't mind that at the same time, because I was so inspired by that world and by the pictures that Sarah Gailey paints. And it's so rare to read a book that is about all women and non-binary people with like barely any men in it. It's so refreshing. So I really enjoyed this, and I would definitely recommend if you're interested in the sound of it. This is so good.
These are the physical books that I've got, plus I've got some more stuff as ebooks and audiobooks, but I think I want to pick a physical book to read right now. I'm thinking I might start on Seconds, because I've been intrigued to start a graphic novel, or Her Royal Highness, because I'm really keen on this one. But I think because I'm so keen to start reading this one, maybe I should save it for later, when I maybe start to feel less motivated later in the week, because I will be motivated to read this one. So Seconds it is.
Okay, yes, I'm reading and eating a piece of apple pie. Deal with it. I just started Seconds, and nothing is more relatable than this. I am in love with the art style of this book. It's so gorgeous.
Like, look at that. That's so pretty.
Okay, so I finished Seconds in one sitting. This is so beautiful. I don't think I can talk about it right now.
Leave me alone, Siobhan. Leave me alone. Just trying to take over the world in peace.
It's the next day. I did a bit of work this morning. I did a bit of editing. And now I'm just hanging out with my cat. Hello, kitty. Having a good time. So I finished Seconds yesterday. I thought it was beautiful. Absolutely stunning. I don't even think I can sum up my thoughts on it. The art style is gorgeous. This is one of the first graphic novels that I've really read, probably, apart from Alison Bechdel's book. And the art just blew me away. It involves a concept about house spirits, about buildings having spirits that occupy the house, and I can't even explain it. It's just so good. I would just recommend to anyone that you read it, honestly. I made my partner read it and he loved it as well. The only thing that was like a slight drawback was the kind of romantic resolution to the story. That's all I'm gonna say. It wasn't what I wanted to happen, but it was still kind of cute. I would have to talk more in depth about it in like a spoilery video. Basically, it was really quick to read, it was really gorgeous, it blew me away, and you should read it now. Today, what do I want to read? I kind of want to read Her Royal Highness because I've got the physical copy and it's really calling my name, but also I'm thinking I should read one of the books that I have in ebook form, or one of the longer books, so that I don't get to the end of the week and I'm like, I have to rush through a longer book. I kind of want to read The Hate You Give, but I really want to listen to the audiobook of that one. And it's raining horribly at the moment. Usually I would listen to an audiobook on a walk or while I'm doing chores or something. And I don't have much of that I'm planning to do today. It's kind of that weather where you just want to cuddle up under the covers and read a book, a physical book in front of you. So I think I may just go for Her Royal Highness. I'm half an hour into the On the Come Up audiobook and it's so good. I was going to read a physical book, but I decided I wanted to play some Animal Crossing and just do some like mindless things like fishing in Animal Crossing where you don't really have to like pay loads of attention. So it's perfect to like listen to an audiobook to. On the Come Up audiobook is so good. I was wrong in my previous video. It's not actually read by Angie Thomas herself. It's read by another person, but the audiobook reader is so good. But Angie Thomas was a rapper herself when she was a teenager, so I was right about that. And you can just tell that the writing is brilliant. There was one line at the beginning about her father. So it's not really a spoiler to say that her father is dead. And her teacher says something like, "You're following in your dad's footsteps." And there's a line in the book about how she likes how when other people refer to him as her dad rather than his stage name because he was a rapper, because it reminds her that they used to belong to each other, or that they do belong to each other. And I just thought that's such a beautiful sentiment. And I can't wait to read more of it or listen to more of it. Hello, hello, hello. So it's the next day. I am about a quarter of the way through the On the Come Up audiobook. It's so good. It's giving me so many feelings. I absolutely love the sections where she's doing a rap battle or where she's recording her music. I love that, like seeing her like boss it and be really talented at something. That is something I think I just love in books, is just seeing really talented people kill it, you know? Some of the other stuff is really painful to read about her circumstances and about the barriers she faces because of where she comes from and because of her race and because of her gender. And that stuff is like horrible to read, but like written in such a good way that I'm really enjoying it. I just really, really, really want to see her succeed and do really well. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. So I'm 27%-ish through that. And I'm thinking what I might do is I might keep listening to On the Come Up throughout the rest of this week and do like a couple of hours a day and then read other books in the meantime. So I might have a start on Her Royal Highness and see if I can speed through that today. Oh hey, so I've just started reading Her Royal Highness, which is a female romance featuring a princess set in a Scottish boarding school. And look what it says on the first page. At this boarding school, students may have to face early wake-up calls, bracing exercise in the frigid Highland winters, and grueling outward-bound-esque competitions. So, one of the things that happened when I was picking my TBR, I used my Animal Crossing characters to pick my TBR, by the way. If you haven't seen that video, go watch it now. Chrissy mentioned exercising outdoors, and I could not think of a book for the life of me about exercising outdoors, but guess what? They exercise outdoors in this. So this is applicable to that too. I hope they also drink coffee in one of these books, because that was the other prompt that I couldn't think of a book for. How perfect is that though? I'm about 65 pages into Her Royal Highness. It's so quick to read, it's so easy to read. It's like very young adult in a very fun way. Like I quite like that it's like really quick to fly through and really fun to read. It is more than slightly ridiculous. It's not set kind of in real life, like the way that royalty works and stuff isn't the way that royalty works in real life. It's quite a fantasy kind of scenario, and some of the tropes and some of the setups are a bit fanfiction-y and a bit tropey, but don't care at all because it's just escapism and it's just so cute. And it's so great to read a book where the main protagonist, she likes women and there's no angst about it. There's no drama. Sure, sometimes people assume she's straight, but that's as far as it goes. There's no prejudice yet in this world, which I kind of like because that's not something that you read very often. And it's really escapist and really fluffy. And just what I need right now is like an antidote to the kind of gritty reality of On the Come Up. So this is kind of escapist, happy fantasy. And I'm enjoying it. Okay, so I've just finished Her Royal Highness. It is very cute, very wholesome, sweet, and probably a 3 stars because it is a little bit simplistic in its plot. It is a little bit cliche. It's heartwarming, but in a cliche way. It borrows very heavily from, I almost feel like it's spoilers to say this, I'm gonna say it. It borrows very heavily from The Prince and I in the way that the beats happen, but it is very sweet. I haven't really seen or read something before where the mean girl ends up being the love interest in a way. Obviously you always get that like bad boy type, so it was quite interesting to read the female equivalent. I enjoyed this. It was really sweet and heartwarming and fluffy, but just a little bit too predictable for me. I wanted there to be a little bit more. But if you want something sweet and fluffy, give it a go.
It is Saturday evening. I had such a lovely day today. I managed to have some social distance drinks outside with people. It's been lovely, but I'm very, very tired and I haven't read a book. I am over 50%, I think, of the way through On the Come Up. Still loving it, still thinking the same thoughts I was thinking yesterday, but I need to read something quick. So I'm going to have a little look at my list and pick something really, really short to read because it is about 10:30 p.m. I'm very tired. So I need to read something in like an hour before I go to bed. So good luck to me. Here's where the challenge gets challenging. I just had a lazy morning, hung out with people, I'm feeling great, but need to get that reading done. Or I could read 2 books tomorrow. But that seems like a challenge. Plus carry on listening to On the Come Up. I don't know if I can do that. So we'll see. I just looked it up and I think The Deep by Rivers Solomon is the shortest book that I've got left on my list. I know it's meant to be very harrowing and sad to read, but I think it might be my best option in terms of length. The audiobook is 4 hours, which if I listen to on double speed is only 2 hours, and it is narrated by David Diggs, who I love, who I know inspired some of the writing of the book, I think. That could be really cool to listen to. So maybe what I'll do is I'll start reading the ebook and kind of try and speed through that. If I get too tired to like read with my eyes, I can listen to the audiobook on double speed and hopefully, I could do that for an hour, maybe. I am so tired. I made a mistake, guys. I've also had a beer and a cider. Why do I do this to myself? Why did I think 7 books in 7 days was a good idea? Maybe it'll be fine. I can do this. I'm too tired to read right now. I think I'm just gonna go to sleep and I can finish The Deep in the morning and finish On the Come Up. What have I done?
Oh, so I just finished The Deep. It's gut-wrenching. It's beautiful, it's elegiac, it's poetic. It's a metaphor for the darkest depths of human depravity and for hope and for memory and forgetting and for trauma. It's just stunning and I don't feel like I have the brain space right now to really go into it in depth, but I think it's a really interesting one that I think everyone should read. It's a different kind of book. It's not a story, as in don't go in expecting a lot of plot, a lot of story. Go in for the atmosphere, go in for the world building and the ideas underneath what is being described. Haunting is probably a good word too. I just finished the audiobook of On the Come Up. It's so good. I think I might cry. It's so good. You just need to read it. That's all. That's all I can say. It's beautiful. I think every young person should read it. I mean, every person should read it, but I can't even put into words. It's really, really inspiring. I have actually read 5 books thus far, and it has only been 5 days. So that means I'm caught up, and I've got 2 days left for the challenge. So now I'm feeling better. I thought I had a whole other book to read today, and I was like, I'm kind of out of energy to read because I finished the last 35% of The Deep. And then I read the rest of On the Come Up. So I've just got to decide what I'm going to read tomorrow and the next day. And luckily, I feel like I'm more awake during the week because I have to get up for work, and then it's like I have more of a routine, whereas on the weekend I take the time to kind of crash a bit. So on Monday and Tuesday I've got 2 more books to read, and I picked 9 I think from my TBR with the Animal Crossing TBR, so I am going to use 7 of those. And the books that I've got left are All Boys Aren't Blue, Player of Games, Stars and the Blackness Between Them, and The Weight of the Stars. And I think that I'm actually going to cheat slightly. So when I picked those books, one of the prompts was flowers, and the two options I was thinking of were either All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson or Felix Ever After by Kacen Callender. And I decided to go for All Boys Aren't Blue purely because I knew that I had the copy of Felix Ever After on the way, but I didn't know when it would arrive. But it has arrived. So now I can read it. And it was one of the ones I was thinking of for the prompt. So I'm thinking I might read Felix Ever After instead because I have the physical book of it. And I'm getting a bit sick of reading ebooks. So that is going to be one of them. And I can't wait to read it. And final one I'll read. I'll see what I feel like reading. So that is my thought.
I'm 11% of the way through Felix Ever After. I'm absolutely loving it. The representation is already amazing. And I feel like this book does a really simple, elegant job already of explaining to you, if you are a cis person who's never had to think about their gender identity, the kind of struggles that a trans person might go through. I didn't know it was set in a fancy kind of art school in New York, which Felix has gotten into on a scholarship. And that is so exciting to me because, I don't know, I'm just really enjoying that setting and these characters and learning more about it and really getting immersed into it. So I'm excited to read more. But I've got to stop now because I've got to go make dinner, and I think we're going to watch Knives Out. So I'm not sure how much time I will have later to read, but I'm going to have to finish the rest of this because I'm currently only a tiny amount into the book. So I did it again despite having a lot of time to actually read this today. I didn't. I read 42 pages and I really enjoyed it, and I didn't want to stop, but then I stopped to cook dinner, and then we watched Knives Out, which is a great film that you should all watch, and then procrastinated. And now it is like 11 o'clock. There's no way I'm going to finish this today. So what I might do is read another chapter or 2, go to sleep, to be honest, and finish it tomorrow, and then I'll have to read a whole other book as well. Yay me. So, as discussed, I only read 40 odd pages yesterday, which I have to finish today, and then I also have to finish a whole other book. So I think I'm just going to check which book is the shortest that I have and read that and Felix Ever After this afternoon because I have to work this morning. So, I don't know what to do. This is the last day of my challenge, and I'm just reflecting on what I think I've learned in this process of trying to read 7 books in 7 days. And I think what I've learned is that deadlines are good for me. Deadlines make me do something. So having that deadline of like, oh shit, I have to read a book by the end of the day, like really motivates me to start reading. And once I start reading, I love it so much. It's just that procrastination thing of like not wanting to start for some reason. I've learned that I like to switch between an audiobook and a physical book. I've learned that there are some books that work better with audiobooks than others. And I think the more complex and dense the book is to read, the less I want to listen to it in audiobook form. No, let me refine that. I love listening to something lyrical and poetic in audiobook form because that feels right to hear it spoken aloud. But if it includes a complex plot or a plot that isn't like absurdly simple, I need to read it because I'm not going to be able to follow it in audiobook form. Or I'm not going to be able to follow it if I listen to it in little chunks, because you can't listen to a whole audiobook at once if it's like 12 hours long. You have to listen to like 1 or 2 hour chunks at a time. I like to have a story that I can listen to for a couple of hours one day and then do a whole day of other stuff, even reading other stuff, and come back the next day and remember exactly where I am in the story, who's there, what's going on, in order to be able to follow it. I wish that Felix Ever After had an audiobook that was available in the UK, because I feel like this would be a really good one to listen to. to. It's like a modern contemporary. It's not incredibly complex so far. Complex doesn't equal good, by the way. Complex doesn't always equal good. It doesn't equal bad either. It's just a neutral term for like how much concentration I need to read it, I think, in this case. So I've got a full morning of work ahead of me, and then I will get back to you once I'm done and let you know how Felix Ever After is going and what I'm going to read after that. I've finished my work for the day. It is time to make lunch. I'm so looking forward to having something to eat. Now, after I have my lunch, I'm thinking what I might do is get an audiobook for my final book. I'm just going to look through my Goodreads now at the choices that I have to see how long the audiobooks are, and I'll pick the shortest one basically and listen to it on double speed, and then I'm going to cycle into the centre of town because some non-essential shops opened yesterday and I want to have a little look around, safely socially distanced. I can't wait for our local bookshops to reopen again. Don't think they're open yet, but let's be honest, I really want to go and see if the bookshops in my town have any kind of sign in the window saying when they're planning to reopen, because there's nothing online at the moment. Hopefully it's not too crowded. If it is, I probably won't stay long because I get a bit anxious around crowds who are not social distancing properly. But I'm looking forward to getting out and about and having kind of some more options of things that I can do other than just sit around the house. And it's a beautiful day outside. The weather is gorgeous for my last day of reading. I'm feeling optimistic. So it turns out that the shortest audiobook I can get at the moment is All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. I am excited for this series of essays. It sounds like a good thing to listen to on audiobook as well. Essays, they're going to be quite short and self-contained, so pausing might be okay. It also kind of fits in because Felix Ever After, the other book I'm reading today, was the other one that was picked with the prompt flowers, so I'm doing a flowers day. So I went into town and Waterstones was actually open, which was surprising. I did get a couple of books just because I was reveling in the experience of getting to go into a bookshop again. Really weird to see things open again for some reason. It was getting a bit crowded by the time I left, so I felt like I had to get out of there because there were just too many people. But when I went there at the start, it wasn't too bad. Unfortunately, while I was there, my wireless headphones died. Yay. So I am only a certain amount into All Boys Aren't Blue, but I was really enjoying it. So what I think I'm going to do now is take a nice cool bath because it's so hot outside that I just need to cool down. And then I'll listen to the audiobook as I am having my bath. I got this outfit from town while I was there, just because I wanted something summery, something a little bit fairy tale. I quite like it. I just finished the audiobook of All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. All Boys Aren't Blue is stunning. It's a memoir, so I don't know if I'll give it a rating because I feel like it's rating somebody's real life, which feels odd, but it's stunning. It's a really honest account of George's life and of his coming to terms with his identity, his sexuality, his blackness and his queerness. And it's really a guide for young people who might be going through similar things as to assure them that they're not alone. And parts of it made me cry. I don't want to spoil it, but he was talking about a family member who's transgender and her story really touched me. I would really, really highly recommend this if you're looking for a memoir about, again, blackness and queerness and the intersections of both. It's really good, and the audiobook is read by George M. Johnson himself, which makes it even more personal to listen to, so I would recommend that too. I've got to finish the rest of Felix Ever After and I'll be done with my 7 books in 7 days. But I am conscious that I have dinner coming up and I do tend to just like veg and watch TV after dinner, so I'm gonna have to be a bit more disciplined with myself and make sure I actually read to get this done in time. 102 pages into Felix Ever After. Things are taking a twist, things are taking a turn, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I feel like I don't quite know where it's going. I have suspicions, but the representation in this is brilliant. There's people of lots of different genders, sexualities, races, and I'm really intrigued by the main antagonist character. So I'm intrigued. This is really good so far, and I'm really hooked, and I think it's going to be really easy for me to read this tonight.
very quickly. Oh yeah, and it still is the same day, I swear. I've just changed once more into something a bit comfier. It's one of those days. So it's 10 to midnight, and just in the nick of time, I've finished Felix Ever After and finished my 7 books in 7 days. I'm feeling very accomplished right now. I am on a high. I think I probably read 7 books all of last year. That's how far I've come. This feels great. But now I'm going to bed, and I will give you a bit more of a wrap-up of my whole week tomorrow. I did it! I can't believe that I read 7 books in 7 days. The sense of accomplishment is real. I think I summed up quite well in the vlog, you know, what I learned from this experience, and hopefully you learned something or was inspired by this vlog to read more, if that is something that you want to do. Now, obviously, I have very specific circumstances under which I was able to do this. I'm not saying that everyone can do this or even should do this, or that this is even something you might enjoy. I just hope that this serves as a bit of an inspiration, a bit of an example, if you do want to read more, of how I do it. So if you are someone who has been asking me, how do you read so much? I want to read more. Hopefully this has helped. Finally, thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please like. Please consider subscribing and clicking the bell in order to get all of the notifications so you know when I post another video. It really does help. It helps me to know if you've enjoyed these videos or not, or if this is the kind of content that you want to see more of. Vlogs are quite time consuming to make and to edit. There's so much footage you've got to bring together, so it would be worth me knowing if you prefer this type of video or if you just prefer a sit down, let's talk about books kind of video. I'm happy to do more of those because they are also easier to film. Thanks so much. Bye.